Hello, and welcome to the History Armada. I'm Shieldbro6, and I will be your guide. And I know what you're thinking, Shieldbro, it's not Monday, why are you making the video? And I'm gonna tell you why. Because I was on the way home from work, right? I'm listening to the radio, and it's one of those channels that usually isn't Christmas music, but once it hits a certain time in December, it is. And it got me thinking, Christmas songs, right? Where'd they come from? Like, how did we get started with this fad of all these songs that we play from basically Thanksgiving until Christmas Day, and it just disappears again until next year? Why? And where did it come from? Well, Christmas music, right? It comprises a variety of genres of music to associate with the winter holiday. And it's usually performed or heard, during the Christmas season, quote unquote. But like I said, now we're getting it all the way up to Thanksgiving itself, or sometimes before. Stores are weird. Well, anyways, music associated with Christmas can be, purely instrumental, especially if we're talking about some of the older songs, or in the case of carols or songs, they employ lyrics, and they can range from a huge matter of subjects, from the nativity and the birth of Jesus Christ, to just snow, to a walking, talking snowman, or a weird reindeer with a glowing nose. There's a lot of subjects that get covered, and even things like, gift giving, merrymaking, Santa Claus, among many other topics. Many songs simply have even just a winter theme. While most Christmas songs prior to 1930 were of a traditional religious character, the Great Depression era of the 1930s brought a stream of songs of American origin, most of which did not explicitly reference the Christian nature of the holiday. Which, to be fair, it was not originally a Christian holiday, it was a date chosen to celebrate a Christian holiday on a pagan holiday. So it's kind of funny how that works out. But anyways, these songs usually are aimed at children, such as, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and many other ballad types, and even crooners, such as Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, White Christmas, and even Elvis's album of Blue Christmas, where he kind of brought that song to a forefront. And performances of Christmas music at public concerts, churches, shopping malls, radios, city streets, it's played everywhere, and it's become quite a staple and an integral part of the Christmas holiday in many cultures around the world, especially in America and Western Europe. Of course, the songs that are played in America are different than the ones that are played in such as Germany or Ireland. They all have their own popular ones, but I want to talk about just the idea of Christmas music. So, originally, early music associated with Christmas is thought to have its origins all the way back in 4th century Rome. That's a long time ago. And it started with Latin language hymns, such as Veni Redemptor Gentium. And by the 13th century, under the influence of Francis of Assisi, the tradition of popular Christmas songs in regional native language started to develop. So instead of all having Latin hymns, you would start singing in German, or you start singing in French, or wherever you were, you start singing those Christmas songs in your own language, which, is a lot helpful because not everyone spoke Latin. So you could start celebrating Christmas in your own way. And Christmas carols in the English language first appeared in 1426, work of John Aldley, an English chaplain, who lists 25, quote, carols of Christmas. They were probably sung by groups of wassailers who would travel from house to house getting alms, which we will get to in a moment. In the 16th century, various Christmas carols, still sung to this day, included ones such as The 12 Days of Christmas, God Rest You Merry Gentlemen, and O Christmas Tree. And these first arrived and emerged, like I said, in the 16th century. Music was an early feature of the Christmas season and its celebrations, tying to the Yuletide and the Yule celebrations of older holidays. The earliest examples of this works, such as chants and litanies, intended for liturgical use in observance of both the Feast of the Nativity and the Theophany, many of which are still used in the Eastern Orthodox Church. And by the 13th century, we saw the rise of the carol written in the vernacular and used under the influence of Francis of Assisi, like I mentioned a second ago. And this also continued to transform with these Christian Christmas minstrels, as pictured here. They were specific minstrels who would play Christmas music during the festivals and Yuletide. In the Middle Ages, the English combined circle dances with singing and called them carols. Later, the word carol came to mean a song in which a religious topic is treated in a style that is familiar or festive for the native populace. So, you take kind of a dull subject and you would spice it up. You would take the Christian belief, you take that important message, and you would spice it up to a festive tone and beat so it would match the festivities going on. And by 1426, we saw those become even more popular with the alms singers. But then we saw a decline. You see, the Puritan prohibition brought an end to Christmas carols, because we saw the Commonwealth of England underneath Cromwell, pictured in the center there. And the Rump Parliament prohibited the practice of singing Christmas carols because they deemed them pagan and sinful. Again, ironic, because Christmas is celebrated on a pagan holiday. But nevertheless, like other customs associated with popular Catholic Christianity, it earned the disapproval of the Protestant Puritans. And famously, Cromwell's Integrum prohibited all celebrations of the Christmas holiday. See, there you go. The Puritans were like, hold up, we can't celebrate this. This is pagan. And then they attempted to ban the public celebration of Christmas, can also be seen in the early history of Father Christmas. So we saw Father Christmas coming from the Yuletide, tied with the Green God and Odin, and we saw Cromwell and his Puritans being like, hold up, we're connecting the dots here. So we saw a banning of the Christian holiday, well, an attempt anyway, and a banning of Christmas carols. And Puritans went on to keep doing this. And, the whole celebration was declared offensive by Parliament, until the trend resurfaced in Europe and the USA. You see, in May 1660, Charles II restored the Stuarts to the throne, Hubble Gubra, and the people of England once again practiced the public singing of Christmas carols. Yay, oh come, Emmanuel. And then we saw that as a part of the revival of Christmas customs, sanctioned by the king's own celebration. King Charles II was like, yeah, let's have a Christmas party. Let's bring this back. This, that was whack. Let's sing some songs. The Victorian era saw a huge surge of Christmas carols associated with a renewed admiration for the holiday, and these included popular songs including Silent Night, O Little Town of Bethlehem, and O Holy Night, which is one of my favorites, especially the German version, Stille Nacht. And I would like to point out that the Victorian era is kind of popular when you're thinking of Christmas because of the Christmas Carol. So you think of Scrooge, you think of the Victorian era, Tiny Tim, the people plucking the turkeys. It's because of popular media bringing the Christmas Carol to a forefront and hand in hand with the songs. And then, by the 19th century, we got Up on the Housetop and Jolly Old Saint Nick as songs that were coming to become popular in popular culture. And many older Christmas hymns were also translated or had lyrics added to them during this period, and in particularly in 1871, we saw a certain John Stainer publish a widely influential collection called Christmas Carols, New and Old, which really brought this because it translated all the old Latin and German ones into English, so it gave the Victorian English and the Americans access to these songs, and it really brought them to the forefront of the Christmas celebrations. Singing carols in church was also instituted on Christmas Eve in 1880, and we saw that in Truro Cathedral in Cornwall, England, which is now seen in churches all over the world, where there are Christmas Eve celebrations, Christmas Eve sermons, etc., and Christmas Eve carols. And we saw that thrust into the forefront of the holiday and really solidified its place both in the hearts of citizens, in the home, and in the church. And that brings us to what I was mentioning earlier about the carolers and the alms. You see, the tradition of singing Christmas carols in return for alms or charity began in England in the 17th century after the restoration of the Stuarts. Town musicians, or waits, were licensed to collect money in the streets in the weeks preceding Christmas. So they would go door to door singing songs. So when you see that in TV shows or movies, people singing door to door, it's because they were looking for donations for the church or for the poor. And Christmas carols became a household thing because you would hear them all the time during the Christmas holiday, as these carolers were a common thing back then, and they were going literally door to door. And we saw a rise in songs such as Wexford Carol, God Rest You Merry Gentlemen, The Holly and the Ivy, and I Saw Three Ships, all of which are quite catchy. But that also brings us to church feasts. So that was to get donations, right? Which, knowing that, it makes a little more sense, you know, especially that one song, the song Bring Us Some Figgy Pudding. It's because they wanted donations. But anyways, so there was also the church feasts. We saw a rise in church concerts, church sermons, and church feasts, where we would have Christmas carols and Christmas contras performed on either the time leading up to Christmas, Christmas Eve, or Christmas Day. And of course, then we saw radio and television bring these carols and Christmas songs to an even higher forefront in society, with some of the most popular songs being performed yearly being the top 10. Here's the top 10. Number 1 is Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Number 2, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Number 3, Winter Wonderland. Number 4, Let It Snow. Number 5, The Christmas Song. Number 6, Jingle Bell Rock. Number 7, It's a Wonderful Time of the Year. Number 8, Sleigh Ride. Number 9, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And number 10, It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas. So none of these necessarily have that Christian context, right? They seem to have done away with that connection because, like I mentioned earlier, they were replaced with just a sense of festivity and winter apparel. But that does not mean it lost any importance in the church or to the Christians. And as we move on, we saw that become even more popular as there was adopted Christmas music, adopted songs, adopted stories, and then the radio especially, but also the television, brought these to be a accessible form of media that was played constantly. Now we have Christmas music on satellite radio, internet radio, FM radio, AM radio, and television. So we see a huge forefront as the radio broadcasting really revolutionized this. Of course, the radio used to be the television of sorts, right? The radio was the form of entertainment for households. So when Christmas songs would be played, that would be their time, right? That would be that family's opportunity to hear that song and feel the togetherness of the holiday. And then it went on to now we hear it all the time. So like I said, this started out as me just being curious on the way home from work, and so I did a little digging. And that's what I could find about the evolution of Christmas songs and where they came from. So they started out as Latin hymns way back in time, and then we saw them evolve, become more festive, less connected to the Christianity. Of course, we do have those songs that are still deeply rooted in the Christian holiday, but then we also saw the translation, the expansion, and the diffusion of these songs, to where now basically every country and continent has their own Christmas songs. And I find that highly fascinating. And I hope you guys enjoyed as well. Thank you so much for watching. That's what I could find about the history of Christmas songs. And if you did enjoy, please hit that like and subscribe button. And of course, you guys have a wonderful Christmas, a wonderful Yuletide, a happy Hanukkah, and if you're none of that, well, happy holidays to you, and just have a good, safe winter. And I'm going to be starting a new series soon. It's going to be a surprise. I hope you guys are ready for it. But as always, I'm ShieldBro6 for the History Armada, and I'll catch y'all next time. Thanks for watching.